don't really like the way the system works on the, you know, like it's hard to, I don't know how to say this. It's just like the way that it's set up on the YouTube. It's kind of a pain in the ass. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I really should turn on the gas lights. They make a lot of noise. I'm trying to put this brake system back together after our boy Gary Mavericks came and took it apart for me. And you know, we disassembled this whole system because I had to get new gaskets for it. This screen's got a hole in it. Yeah, this all looks pretty good. It's just gonna need a whole lot of bleeding. So what's gonna have to happen is it's just gonna be a pain in the ass, basically. As with all things Rolls-Royce. There's like 2 cork gaskets that go on either side of this screen. And then you got a bunch of these little screws and nuts. And I really should be wearing gloves. But the thing about it is that, like, it's virtually impossible to, like, work with these tiny ass little, like, is that supposed to go all the way through there? Yeah. I think these are all the same size. Does that just screw in? Wait, so where do these go? So some of these just screw in and some of them don't? I don't get it. So I spray painted the top of this thing, and the only paint that I had handy was like a bronze. Like, does this tighten? I don't get it. Somebody's setting off fireworks. See, I didn't take this apart. Gary took this apart, if you remember. Our friend Gary Mavers from Classic Obsession. See, that one takes a nut on the other side. Maybe all of them do. Weird. So anyway, he took this apart to try to get to the bottom of it. And we cleaned it out. I replaced all the filters in it. And I just haven't touched this thing in months because it's just been 1,000 goddamn degrees. This has been the hottest summer. You know, clearly whatever's happening in Florida and in the south with the hurricanes is related to this weather, because we had the hottest summer on the history of Las Vegas, right? It was 119 degrees for like a week or 2 straight, breaking the previous 117 degree temperature, right? So you got to understand that when it's that hot, you can't come in this building. I mean, this building was so hot that You just couldn't even step foot in here, to be honest. It was miserable. So even here in October, like even in the daytime, it's not that bad outside, but when you're in this metal building, it's like an oven. It's unlivable. So what I'm trying to say is, I just didn't want to come in here. It was just too hot. And I just haven't given a shit about this car lately. Just haven't put any time and effort into it. And basically, I need to move it out of the way because I need to change the oil on the Maserati. And I'm not taking it to the dealer. Fuck that. I'll do it myself. And this thing's been squatting here on top of my pit since I bought it. And I haven't been able to do any oil changes on any of my cars or anything. I've been putting it off, and the little warning light has been on the Maserati telling me that it's time for an oil change. And so, is this okay? Ah. All right. So yeah, I got to get this car put back together. Now it's still got a major brake line leak. The reason this whole thing went to shit was for the simple reason. You know, it's weird. This is the weirdest thing. It's got certain threaded spots that you can put the screw in, and then certain ones that you got to put a nut on the other side. I've never seen anything like it. It's kind of odd. All right. Like, it would have been nice if they'd have just threaded all of it with some kind of rib nuts all the way around it. So some of them screw in, and then some of them don't, like on the back here. What in the hell? Anyway, so here's the problem with this car. You know, I'm gonna do another video about Rolls-Royce ownership. And especially with these older cars, you know, you could pick up these older cars for not that much money, really. The Silver Shadows, like that one I just sold, the white one, I sold the car for $25,000, which was a premium, because that car usually goes for like, you know, I bought that car for 10, but I put damn near $15,000 worth of repairs on that car. You understand? And so people will buy these things for reasonable price. I mean, I want to get $25,000 for this car unpainted. Now, if I repaint the car and do major repairs to it, I'm going to want a lot more money. You know, if I did a full restoration on it, I would want something like $60,000, $75,000 for this car. But I could sell this car to a dreamer who wants to just tune around in it, and you could put a Mako paint job on it for a couple $1,000, you know. And I think you could probably put a Mako paint job on this car for about $3,000. I know you're going, Mako on a Rolls-Royce. Come on, man. This car is old. If this car was in mint condition, like think about it, my 1985 Corniche that I had, I bought that car for like 40 grand, which was a great deal. But its value is only about $40,000, $50,000. Because you got to remember, that car has, I think we're missing some screws. Let me see, is this one, this one's threaded. Okay, that's what it is. So, yeah, that car's in almost perfect condition, and I paid 40 grand for it. I think it's really worth about 50, but it's got like 75 or 80,000 miles on it. Even though it's in good condition, it's still not perfect. I've seen some of these in really good condition. There's a guy I don't get along with. His name is Rod Sala. He is very talented as far as the fact that he has Park Ward Motors, and he sells the highest condition versions of these cars for the most premium price. And probably well deserved. I mean, you get a car from him, you're getting like a restored car or one that was in very good condition. But I don't get along with the guy because I'm in a bunch of the Rolls-Royce groups, and he's just a very rude person. He's a real elitist person. He's just not a savory individual. I wouldn't want to buy a car from him, I gotta be honest. But he does have some very nice cars. I mean, if he wasn't such a prick to me, I probably would have bought a car from him. You know, he doesn't know how to be nice to people. He's not a nice person. There's people out there on this planet that are just, let's be honest, they're fucking dickheads. And he's one of them. He's a dickhead. Okay. And so, anyway, what I was trying to say about this car was, a lot of people have these cars and just the smallest little repair, they just let it go to hell. They don't fix it, or they'll park it because you call up your local place and go, yeah, I got a Rolls-Royce, whatever, and they're like, no, we're not interested. We don't want to fix it. And that was the situation with this thing, right? Let me move this out of the way. So this car needs paint. The paint in it is in incredibly terrible condition. If you watched any of the videos I did about this car, it belonged to a very famous television producer, Mark Goodson, who did like The Price is Right and a bunch of other stuff. And I think he died, and I think it just sat around in the parking garage for a long time. The paint went to hell. I'm not sure exactly what happened. I'm not sure who in particular neglected the car, but somebody really neglected the car by just letting it sit. And there's just, I'm looking around and it's like, whatever this is should have a hose going to it and doesn't. This one the same. I don't know if those are just off. You know, so many of the hoses and lines on here are just not even connected properly. And so what had happened is I want to say there's one or two pumps on this car, and one of the lines running off the pump like was just rubbing up against the exhaust or something and shorted a hole in it, and then just started leaking hydraulic fluid, which means you lose brakes, you get air in the lines, and it just made a mess of the engine because brake fluid is pretty caustic, and it covered the entire bottom of the car and this brake fluid. And so what needs to happen is all of those lines need to be fixed and sealed. I'd say what really needs to happen is somebody should, if they really wanted to restore this car, you would come in here and replace every single hose, spark plug wire, line, and everything through here. And this car would be mint because, believe it or not, this car runs fantastically. If I go connect the battery and turn the key, this thing will fire right up and run. And that's what's great about a Rolls-Royce. I've never seen a Rolls-Royce not run. They made and used this same basic engine for like 50 straight years. And these SU carburetors are, quite frankly, quite reliable. And so we started this car right up and drove it. It just doesn't have any brakes. It does have a little bit of brake. It's got like some emergency mechanical brake when you get down to a certain point. I wanted to wear gloves doing this, but like I said, I was dealing with little tiny screws and trying to do. If you're wearing gloves when you're trying to do little tiny screws, you're going to drop them. That's what's going to happen. But this car is just covered in filth and dust. It's got cat prints all over it. Cats have been in here. Hopefully they didn't get into the interior and piss on anything. I don't think so. I need to make a special tripod for doing this that basically is just like a mic stand with a thing on the end. That's what I need. Because tripods of the old days were made to hold like a camera. The phone weighs nothing, right? haven't touched this car in months and months. Let's see what happens if I turn the key on. Probably pump it. I don't know if there's any gasoline in this car. I don't know all about right now. Nope. Running a bit rough. There we go. Of course, I don't have the door open, so it's going to get awfully smelly in here really fast. Yeah, man, look at that. I haven't started this car 6 months or something. Fire right up. And it's got massive exhaust leaks. So, you know, it would come back really well, this car. It would come back really well. I mean, basically it needs, obviously it needs a paint job. It needs the interior put back together. It needs all the rubber done on this car. Actually, it has a brand new top. However, it hasn't been installed. So I got all the parts to it to put it together, the wood and everything. So the top needs to be redone. It needs a new headliner. That headliner is going to cost about $1,500 probably. If you took it to a shop to have it done, it might cost you a few $1,000s. I think if you put 20 grand into this car by putting a brand new paint job on it, replace all the rubber stuff that you need to replace, and a few things like that, you'd have a premium, really nice, restored for the most part, Rolls-Royce Corniche, 1973. You know, these wheels all clean up nice. This interior is all pretty basically new, just needs to be cleaned up nice. I mean, this wood could all be shined up. You'd be surprised how well you could get a car like this to come back. It might look pretty bad, but trust me, a good paint job, if you put a nice $10,000 paint job on it, paint it black, or I think its original color was like a green or bluish color. So, so now I've kind of put together, and I should be able to pull it out of here. So maybe tomorrow, depending on what time I have, I might pull this thing out so I can pull the Maserati in. Need to do an oil change on it. Need to make sure I got all the stuff for it. I know I bought all the parts to do the Maserati oil change. I bought all the filters and things. So those should be around here somewhere. Probably on this shelf. Let's see, Lambo, Rolls. They're around here close, somewhere. I got it. I need to go through all this stuff over here. I have so much crap over in this section over here. And I need to get it all cleaned up. I have so many new things I bought and haven't installed yet. I mean, I can't get to anything. I've been trying to get Henry to get this cleaned up for me. I got all the stereo gear over here. I mean, I keep finding car stereos. This is another Boss flip-up screen stereo. I mean, I've got a bunch of stereos. I don't know where they're all coming from. Speakers. Look at this. It's a nice set of speakers. Who makes those? See, because like I buy cars all the time and they always come with shit. So I'm all the time finding car parts. This is a, okay, so this is like a door popper, trunk popper, solenoid kit. This probably came with the other Lamborghini that I used to have. Remember the other Lamborghini? Yep, more doors popper kits. Here's a whole
sets of fan. It's one of my OnlyFans. OnlyFans? Rolls-Royce parts. That's a 3,000 watt inverter. Alright, where's the Maserati oil change shit? It's like a power window kit or something. Those are Rolls-Royce filters. This thing doesn't even fit in the hall. Some stick-on tiles. Oh, for fuck's sake. Rolls-Royce parts. Drumsticks. Those are Rolls-Royce wheel or discs, or what are those? It says RR something. Rotors. Rolls-Royce rotors. All right, what the fuck? Because I remember I actually had two sets because they sent me two of them for some reason. Like I ordered it from Amazon. I gotta go wash my hands. I got put up there. What the hell? I'm trying to think. It should be over there. Unless they're in the other bay, in the out in the well house. Maybe I'll put them down in the pit already. That's a possibility. I don't know. They should be on that shelf over there. That's where they should be. I remember seeing them not that long ago. The kit. So like I said, I ordered one and they sent me two, or I paid for two, like I was only supposed to have one. Shit. Is it really right there? it's covered, you can't get to it. Yep, son of a bitch. You gotta be kidding me. Unfucking believable. Now I'm trapped in here. So stupid. So stupid. Ordered this off Amazon. So yeah. This is supposed to be the that's the oil filter. That's a cabin filter. Those are air intake filters. So I'll put those right there. I don't remember exactly which oil it uses, but I got a ton of different oils. I'll have to check. It might be 530. I've got some Mobil 1 down here. 520. I'll have to look it up. Let's see. 2019 Maserati Levante engine oil. Let's see what it say. What do it say? A lot of times they don't want to give you that. They don't want to tell you what it is. Let's see. Valvoline, trusted motor oil. Like they really make you search for it. This is a 540. Shit. You know what? I had a whole bunch of 540 performance oil in Dallas. I don't know if I brought any of it with me. This fucking wagon. Ah! Hippie, cleaning the fucking area up for the millionth time. 20, 15, 45, 30, 20, 50. You know, what the fuck? I keep trying to get this guy to clean this fucking place up, you know? He's on smoke break. There it is, 540 Mobil 1, European car motor. So I bought the oil for it a long time ago. It's in that cabinet. If I did everything myself, I wouldn't have time to take a shit. So I gotta get this area over here cleaned up. I need all the stuff organized so I can get some work done around here. It's like, you know, not being able to find stuff. Like, look how much time I wasted just trying to find something because there's a pile of shit in the floor. And I couldn't find the thing. It should be right there. He puts it on the bottom shelf, piles a bunch of shit in front of it, then you can't find it. Where's the oil? Not with the other oil. You know, and it's like, you can't teach organization skills to people. You can't do it. If the dude knew how to organize things, he wouldn't be working for me. If he could organize his life, you know what I mean? What's this guy says? I'll clean and organize the place for you. How much will you pay me? No. I pay him like $20 an hour, which I think is pretty good. You're talking about an unskilled labor guy who doesn't have a degree in anything. Rides the bus over here. But you know, you get what you pay for. Now, when I was younger, I used to dream about, I couldn't even imagine getting paid $20 an hour. But now $20 an hour doesn't mean anything. You know? It's not necessarily that hard. So. All right, well, now I have the ability to move this car. I'm gonna grab this flashlight. Boy, these lights are buzzy sounding. These gas lights, as you call them, they're bright, but they buzz and they make a lot of noise, and they use a lot of power. So maybe if I got time tomorrow, I'm gonna do a video on the Maserati oil change. You know, it's interesting. I've done several videos changing the oil on the Rolls-Royce. You like that angle? There's no easy way of doing that. Every time I do an oil change video on the Rolls-Royce, there's 10 main comments on there. Number one, about the kind of oil. Everybody's a fucking oil expert, right? Everybody's a biochemist who works in engineering. There's only 3 or 4 oil manufacturers in the world. There's only a handful of places that make oil. And they sell it to everybody with different labels, and they put their own little detergents in it. And that's how they determine the different weights of oil, their viscosities. So the oil that you buy at Costco is the exact same oil that you buy at Sam's, Walmart, and most of the oil stores that you go to. All of the store brand oils are all pretty much the same oil. Right. Now, there's slight differences between like Delo, Delvac, you know, the Shell, and it's really about different additives. High ash, low ash, viscosities, things like that. Like in my tour bus, I had to put in a special Delo 100 low ash straight 40. Right. So, what matters really is your viscosity and weight, based on how it changes viscosity based on heat. So like for instance, but the important thing is everybody's like, oh, Mobil 1 is shit, or Castrol is shit, or Pennzoil is shit. Everybody thinks that they know something about oil. And they really don't know what they're talking about. Right? Oh, I've been a mechanic my whole life. And I always use blah, 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 blah oil. What matters is changing the oil. It does matter to have the right viscosity. Okay? As long as it meets those specifications, that's the most important part. I remember when I had my Dodge Magnum multi-displacement 4 to 8 Hemi, would run on 4 cylinders or 8 cylinders, and if you didn't put the correct oil in it, it would piss off the system. It had a sensor that measured the viscosity. I recently had a problem with the Rolls-Royce Phantom that I put in it was like a 030 when it should have been a 530 or whatever, and it caused a problem with the Vanos oil system. So yes, the viscosity matters, but the brand doesn't matter as much. These DeLoreans run on a regular 2050 Harley oil. A lot of the DeLorean guys believe in putting in the 1540 diesel oil in them. I think in this hot climate, I think the 2050 is probably the best for it. It just depends on your experience with the car and its age, whether or not it's smoking or not. If it's smoking, you probably need thicker oil because the rings are shot and it's worn out. So anyway, every time I do an oil change video on the Rolls-Royce, there's all these comments. They talk about I can't believe you're wearing a Rolex while working on your car. The other thing is, I can't believe you would go near that car with a belt buckle without a fender cover. I've been working around cars my whole life, and for some reason, I'm just aware of where I am. I don't rub my cock up against the car, go, like, you know, can't you be around a car without scratching it? Somehow I can. It's my car. You know, I'm not crawling on top of the car. I've never scratched the car with my belt buckle. I'm not even wearing one. Or with the watch. You know, I don't work in a dealership. So I see all these different comments. Oh, you're not using the proper torque specifications on it. Here's the real story. Every time I do a video of the Rolls-Royce oil change and it gets 1 million views, I make $5,000 to $6,000. I made like $10,000 off the oil change that I did on that stupid car. So for all the people running their mouths, so I was like, what I should do is I should do an oil change on it and then at least pretend to do everything completely wrong. Scratch a car up, you know, put in like the wrong oil, you know, just to get the comments going, because that seems to get the video views. And I'm like, yeah, let them think I'm an idiot. That's great. I make a ton of money off of it. It's fucking great. Because the very first time I did the oil change, yeah, like red green, we looked up the oil filter and we realized it's just an oil filter to a BMW 760 series. And you could just get like a regular AutoZone filter. It was like $5, $6. And it's exactly the same filter, right? And then we just put like regular oil in it. And so that video got 1 million views. Go Google Rolls-Royce oil change and you'll see the video that we did like 5 years ago on the first Rolls-Royce, on the white Phantom that I had. But I've done 2 other oil change videos on the Rolls-Royce here. And it's like, the comment section is fucking hilarious. So go read the comment section. I sit there and go, all these blabbermouth. Nothing's worse than some asshole that went to like Lincoln Tech and now he's a oil change guy at a Jiffy Lube or at a dealership who thinks he's an expert in oil changes. Because those guys are some of the most non-mechanic dudes you've ever met in your life. They're still paying $50,000 on their Snap-on tools, and they're going to sit there and tell me about how to change the oil in some ragged-ass old car. Unless it's like a Bugatti Veyron. Virtually every car has pretty close to the same oil change procedure in it. So, anyway. That's me ranting raving. Alright. I really only spent 20-30 minutes on that car. I just thought I might as well fire up the camera. Making a video that other DeLorean that we worked on that I took to Dallas, brought back from Dallas. The guy came to get it. He's going to come get it tomorrow. He drove here in a Cybertruck. He's going to tow the car on a trailer from U-Haul with his Cybertruck back to Reno. I'm like, okay. So we'll see how that works. I'm going to try to knock myself out and go to bed slightly early. What time is it? It's like 9 o'clock. I'm going to go take a couple melatonins. Right? See if the wife will put me to sleep. And try to get up kind of early so I can get some things done. Wednesday, I'm going to go see the band Judas Priest, my favorite band, here in Vegas. After that, I'm going to go to Dallas and do some more work there. I've got a Sprinter cargo van that I own that I've been keeping there in Dallas for a while. I'm going to drive it back, I think. I'm going to drive that piece of shit back. Fill it with stuff and bring it back. Because I'd rather have the van here than there. Like, hopefully that's not a mistake. But I don't think I'm going to need it there. You know, I used it when I was doing things there, but I'm like, I don't really need it. So, You know, the big, going back to the oil argument, because I see people still commenting about it. Just changing your oil. Now look, there's some things you can do. Any of these manufacturers that tell you to go like 5,000-10,000 miles on an oil, fucking forget it. No, change your oil. Now, additives to the oil can definitely make some huge differences. Let me give you an example. We've got this DeLorean at the shop, and it's not running great, and it's got a lot of buildup of deposits. And the fuel that they make nowadays, in order to make the fuel cheaper, it's a little bit more refined and it's less natural. So they're putting a lot of detergents and things in it, and it doesn't last very long. And they're also cutting it with ethanol. So what we're going to do on that car is we're going to pour a gallon of this liquid mechanic in there. And what it's going to do is it's going to de-varnish the fuel system. We're going to pour a gallon of Marvel Mist Oil into the engine oil. We're going to then pour in Berryman's Chem Tool in there. We're going to fill it up with premium, and we're going to run it nice and hot. Now that'll make the car run a little hotter. So what you do is you take a little sprinkler hooked up to a garden hose and just put it on the radiator with a fan. Make sure it stays nice and cool, right? And you let that fucker just idle all day long. You go out there and floor it and rev it up, and it'll blow that black smoke out. That Marvel Mist Oil will get into all of those little nooks and crannies in the piston rings, in the valves, okay? And that liquid mechanic, the Berryman's Chem Tool, will go through that fuel system and clean out the injectors, the lines, the mechanical fuel injection, all right? Then you drain the whole system out, the oil system. Then you fill it up with Seafoam and Berryman's same shit. It's naphtha, okay? So then we'll fill it up with some just cheap ass fucking, 10W30 oil, whatever. And we'll run that for a little bit. Get all the black shit out of there. Just some cheapest oil you got. Then we change the oil and filter again, put the correct oil in, motherfucking car will run great. Because what happens is the rings get stuck, the valves get built up on them, all the little bearings get gunk in them, right? You got to get it out. But when you put a solvent in there, you're going to cause some cylinder wall damage. It's going to get scratched up a bit. But you can fix that by, you put in a little engine restorer, which has got a little bit of liquid powdered metal in there. That'll fill in those gaps. And, look, you got to do something. When you got a car that's 40, 50 years old, and it's got problems, right? Barring taking the entire engine apart, honing it out, and doing it correct. If you're going to do it with $100 worth of liquid, this is the best thing you can do. And then the car will eventually heal itself. The best thing you can do for especially any old car with an iron block, these are all aluminum. This is an all aluminum car. Aluminum's nice and soft. It'll fix itself, right? You get those nice steel rings to expand and hone out the cylinder walls, you'll start to get a little bit more compression back the more you drive it, right? You put some of that engine restorer with that powdered metal in it, and it'll help fill in those gaps and holes. It's never going to be perfect like you rebuilt the engine, but it'll be all right. It'll run. You'll have compression. You're not going to have the horsepower that you want. You might be losing 10, 20 horsepower. Do a compression test. As long as it holds pressure, that's all it needs. And then I'm not an engine expert, but I know that I've had 50 of these fucking DeLoreans. And most of their problems are liquid related. And what I mean by that is shitty gas messing up the fuel system, shitty oil gumming up all the mechanical parts in there, shitty acidic radiator fluid rotting out the system, clogging up the pipes. A lot of times what you got to do, man, is you just got to pull that radiator, and either, if you can't find a place to dip it and clean it, just replace it. Put electric fans on it. Replace those pipes. Because a whole bunch of little, plugged problems equate to one big one. Right? So you have to change your radiator fluid out a lot. I did a video on the yellow, Dextron stuff, the orange shit that you put in the GM vehicles. And they used to, they said it was a lifetime fluid. It is not a lifetime fluid. You need to change it a lot because it goes bad and eats up the inside of the engine. All right, do I like Aston Martins? I like them. I don't have any of them. I've never had one. But the thing about those North Star aluminum engines, you just got to change the fluids out in them, man. Keep the fluids changed. They don't have a way to cleanse themselves. Oh yeah, the Evans coolant. Oh, that shit's a joke. It might work in certain vehicles. Jay Leno uses it in a lot of his vehicles, but Evans as a glycol coolant, non-water coolant, does not work in the DeLorean. Doesn't work in the DeLorean. Might work in other vehicles, doesn't work in a DeLorean. Maybe in an iron block, old Stanley steamer or something, but like Jay Leno likes to use, but they do not work in an aluminum DeLorean. It ran way hotter. And they're like, oh yeah, it's gonna run hotter. I go, I don't want it to run 280 degrees. I need the car to run 185 degrees. My Cruise takes Dextron, but it changes its own coolant once a year. Well, that's why. So when I went with that Eldorado with the North Star 32 valve engine, I did some research on it, and as long as once you get it all sealed up, and if you change the fluids out properly, because here's the thing, they intended for those cars, somewhere along the line, these car dealers figured out, they're like, okay, what we'll do is we just will make the cars only dealer serviceable, and they're only supposed to last like 5 years, and then that's the end. So that's what happened. All right, look, I got to do some run around stuff, and I don't want to carry this camera around, so I'm going to end this camera today, right now. I got a few things to do, and before I forget. So thanks for hanging out. Every once in a while I'll come turn on this camera. That's what it's for. Your take when it comes to any of the Lucas. I use Lucas, I use Lucas injector cleaner in my truck. I put Lucas in the engines. I like Lucas. It's just a thick petroleum that helps give you more compression. That's all. All I can tell you is this. I've owned hundreds of vehicles. I've never had a single engine failure in my life. Knock on wood. I've never had an engine block or a rod thrown or anything like that. All the problems I've had have been very minor. Alternators, water pumps, things like that. But I've never had a full-blown engine failure where the engine blew up or failed or died or blown a head gasket. I have had a blown head gasket. But basically, I don't have those problems. I think it's just because I change my oil a lot. Usually more than the recommended time. I don't go more than 5,000 miles without changing the oil. If it says do it every 10 or whatever, I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Like my truck, it's like 10,000 mile oil change. I go, get out of here. Especially towing, I change it every at least 5,000 miles or less. They go, oh, you're just wasting oil. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's why my 98 Dodge Ram Cummins had what, 700,000 miles on it? Okay. Change your fucking oil. All right, I'll catch you guys later. I'll pull the camera out when I change oil, maybe tomorrow or the next day. I'll have to see what's going on tomorrow. All right, bye.